It's been so long since the government's gone through an audit of any kind that we, the people, should know exactly where our money is going. You need to review your personal finances at least once a month and your business finances at least once a quarter. Despite the talk of Elon Musk not being an elected official, calling him president, regardless of what side of the aisle you fall on, there is nothing bad that is going to come from at least knowing where our money is going and deciding whether it's really what's best for our country. There's nothing wrong with helping other people out. There's something wrong with giving them finances and money and supporting them so they're not standing on their own 2 feet. When you wake up in the morning, make your own bed, clean your own room before you worry about the rest of your house and spill out into the neighborhood. We've got to take care of our own, and it's about time that somebody in Washington is doing just that.
I got to start with this. So he's working for free with DOGE. He's kind of put a lot of his life on hold. And you sued Twitter a number of years ago. You just made him pay you $10 million?
That's right. Well, I sued from long before he had it.
Yeah.
And I mean, they really did a number on me, you know. And
Did you see the look on Elon's face when he said that was priceless? It looked like he was totally surprised that even happened.
Sued, and they had to pay. They paid $10 million settlement.
You're okay with that?
I mean, I left it up to the lawyers and you know the team running Twitter. So I said, you guys do what you think is the right. It makes sense.
I think it's fun.
I think it's a very low. I was looking to get much more money than that.
So you gave him a discount when the lawsuit.
He got a big discount. I don't think he even knows about it.
He's become one of your, if you read and believe the media, he's become one of your best friends. He's working for.
This is something where us common folk would be like, how do you not know about $10 million? Like, in the grand scheme of things, we're not on that level, not financially, but just mentally thinking, because the higher you elevate yourself, the more you surround yourself with the team, and you trust that team of people that you've surrounded yourself with. So when he specifically says, you know, I just gave that to the lawyers and let them do what they felt was best, that means he trusts them. That means he empowers them. That means that he is letting his employees do what they are hired to do. And as employees, as we work our way up from our first job to whatever career we take, that's all we ever really ask for. It's when we're getting micromanaged that we get upset. It's when we're constantly being told what to do and how to do it that we're getting upset. Good leadership is knowing the strengths and weaknesses of your subordinates and letting them thrive, letting them do what they're there to do. And that's exactly what he's doing. So anyone who is getting upset because he doesn't know that $10 million is gone has absolutely no clue what it's like to manage somebody, or is not able to self-reflect on what it's like to be managed and how you just want someone, you're just thriving for someone to trust you to do what you were hired to do.
I know. I love the
You love the president.
I think President Trump is a good man, and he's, you know.
It's nice the way he said that. You know, there's something nice about it.
Really is. You know, because I mean, the president's been so unfairly.
How appropriate right after Valentine's Day. I love him. He's a good man. I just love him.
Attacked in the media. It's really outrageous. And I've at this point spent a lot of time with the president, and not once have I seen him do something that was mean or cruel or wrong. Not once.
You know, I've known him for 30 years.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anybody take as much as he's taken.
Yeah.
And we've discussed this, and I'm like, how do you deal with it?
Did I have a choice?
Well, you would say that to me. I'm like, what do I...
What separates people from being successful and not successful is not their opportunities. It's not money. It's not the way you were raised. It's your mindset. And that mindset that was just said right there, did I have a choice? I mean, you can either play victim, which the majority of people on the left do play victim, and they want handouts and everything is just handed to them, or you put your head down and you fight through it and you come out better on the other side. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well, if you choose that, or you can turn that into 10 years of hell and poor me and barely getting by. When your back's up against the wall, fight. Don't just sit there. Never understood that mentality.
What am I going to do? Worry about it, and you know, and then culminating in 2 assassination attempts, which resulted in your endorsement.
Well, I was going to do it anyway, but that was
it.
Precipitating event. Yeah.
That speeded it up a little bit.
Yeah.
The day of the assassination.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It sped it up, but I was going to do it anyway.
Mr. President, with your indulgence, I'm convinced that people only know a little bit about Elon. I don't think they know everything about Elon, because as I studied and prepared for this interview, I learned a lot about you that I didn't know. I think people will think about Tesla. Democrats are demonizing you and trying to make the country hate you. I just want people to understand you a little bit better, and the person that you've gotten to know and have now put a lot of trust in.
Yeah.
And, just let's go over a little bit of your bio, starting with PayPal and how you became involved in Tesla. And
A lot of people don't like going over all the accomplishments that they've had. I'm curious how Elon is going to react to this. But if just one of the accomplishments that he's made was on my resume, I would be sitting on a beach somewhere. PayPal in itself paved the way for Venmo and Cash App and all these other ways of sending electronic money. And PayPal is still very well in the middle of that game today. And then you go to Tesla, who, I mean, if you wanted to start a car company, it's decades upon decades of just getting your name mentioned in the bottom tier of cars. And he is the go-to for electric cars. So just how all that has come to fruition. And then you add, I mean, I'm sure they're going to get into all of the rockets, the satellites, the internet, the robotics, the AI. He's got his fingerprint all over technology, and he is literally changing lives and saving lives, and all he gets for it is hate. Just blows my mind.
Well, I mean,
It's going to take a while.
I think the way you think of me is like I'm a technologist, and I try to make technologies that improve the world and make life
show
better.
your shirt.
Yeah, and that's why I like my T-shirt says tech support, because I'm here to provide the president with technology support. And now that may seem like, well, is that a silly thing? But actually, it's a very important thing, because the president will make these executive orders, which are very sensible and good for the country, but then they don't get implemented. So. If you take, for example, all the funding for the migrant hotels, the president issued an executive order where, hey, we need to stop taking taxpayer money and paying for luxury hotels for illegal immigrants, which makes no sense. Like, so obviously, people do not want their tax dollars going to fund high-end hotels for illegals.
That's where people need to realize it's not like they're taking them out of the streets and putting them into some place just for shelter. It's high-end stuff. It's sitting down at a 5-star dinner. It's the unnecessary spending that has people all up in arms. And the biggest thing that just drives me crazy is if you go to work and you clock in and you're told to do something and you don't do it, you're not going to keep your job. This is a presidential order that was issued. A presidential order that was issued. Say that again, a presidential order that was issued, and it's not being followed through on. And then people are mad that there's repercussions for those decisions. Yeah, there's repercussions, and you shouldn't be surprised of them.
And yet they were still doing that, even as late as last week. And so, we went in there and we're like, hey, this is in violation of the presidential executive order. It needs to stop. So what we're doing here is one of the biggest functions of the DOGE team is just making sure that the presidential executive orders are actually carried out. And this is, I just want to point out, this is a very important thing, because the president is the elected representative of the people. So he's representing the will of the people. And if the bureaucracy is fighting the will of the people and preventing the president from implementing what the people want, then what we live in is a bureaucracy and not a democracy.
No. You're both aware, you have to be keenly aware, that the media and the punditry class, not that, I think you've proven they have no power anymore, because they threw everything they had at you and they didn't win. And that was, the New York Times, Washington Post, 3 networks, every late night comedy show, 2 cable channels. They drew everything, lawfare, weaponization.
Sure.
And now I see they want you two to start, they want a divorce. They want you two to start hating each other. And they try, President Elon Musk, for example. You do know that they're doing that to you.
Oh, I see it all the time. They tried it, then they stopped. That wasn't. They have many different things of hatred. Actually,
it's the oldest trick in the book, is pitting 2 people against each other to break them up so that they don't get done what they want done. And you have to understand, this isn't just contracts and people's annual salaries. This is billions upon billions of dollars that is being discovered as being fraudulently spent at the expense of the taxpayers. Like, if you go outside and you think of all the roads that need to be updated, if you think of our water systems, just the drought and the fires that happened in LA, if you watched the water levels that were going on outside the Hoover Dam for the last 2 years, if you watch any of that kind of stuff, you're like, we've got some issues that need fixed. But then billions upon billions of dollars are going sent to the war in Ukraine. And we as Americans, all across my city, my county, my state, the entire country, are complaining about the price of eggs, the price of milk, the cost of gas. Everything is going up. All of these prices are constantly going up. We're still paying taxes. What's going on with our tax money? At least let me know I'm getting something for it. But as of right now, you can't say that. And as we're doing this audit, we should be seeing everyone across the country should be getting upset about this. Not that they're doing it, but what they're finding. And it blows my mind that people are upset that they're doing it. Just blows my mind. How? How can you be upset that now all of a sudden the wool is being taken off your eyes and you're upset?
Elon called me. He said, they're trying to drive us apart. I said, absolutely. No, they said, we have breaking news. Donald Trump has ceded control of the presidency to Elon Musk. President Musk will be attending a cabinet meeting tonight at 8 o'clock. And I say, It's just so obvious. They're so bad at it. I used to think they were good at it. They're actually bad at it, because if they were good at it, I'd never be president. Because I think nobody in history has ever gotten more bad publicity than me. I could do the greatest things. I get 98% bad publicity. I could do, outside of you and a few of your very good friends, it's like the craziest thing. But you know what I have learned, Elon? The people are smart. They get it.
Yeah, they do, actually.
They get it. They really see what's happening.
Yes.
And at the end of this interview, what I would like is I want people to know the relationship and know more about you.
In general, I believe that anybody has a story that's worth telling, that's worth listening to. Back in the old days when we had phone books, you could close your eyes, you can pick to a random page, you can point to a number and call that phone number and talk to the person on the other line and just ask a series of very generic questions. Where were you born? When did you graduate high school? What was the biggest thing that happened in this world while you were in high school? There's always some life-changing event that happens from like junior high through your mid-20s, and talk about that and their perspective. And then you add the fact of a billionaire, a self-made billionaire, is donating his time doing a full audit on the country. Like, there's so much. We'll never understand what's intricately going on in between his ears, because it's constantly going. You add the autism spectrum, you add his focus, you add his desire for all the things. And you don't have to agree with everything he does, but you should at least respect the fact that he is doing this to better our country and to get us back on the right track.
What is the relationship, Mr. President?
Well, I respect him. I've always respected him. I never knew that he was right on certain things, and I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. He did Starlink. He did things that were so advanced and nobody knew what the hell they were. I can tell you in North Carolina, they had no communication. They were wiped out. Those people were, they had rivers.
It's amazing how we immediately forget what happened in the Carolinas. And within days of the new president taking in, they were boots on the ground helping people and making phone calls. All it took was a phone call. Hey, these people have no communication. What can we do to help? And it wasn't, well, give me this number of money and we'll send. It was, I'm here. Well, just tell me what you need. That's the kind of mentality that is demonized because no one talks about it. I was reading on X yesterday that someone was complaining that if Elon really wants to take his job seriously with DOGE, he should take away the grants that he's getting from Tesla and SpaceX. It's fraudulent things he's going after. He's literally saving NASA billions of dollars in their budget by what he's doing technologically with SpaceX. And the technology he's bringing through Tesla is being shared with, or at least copied by, many other auto manufacturers. So come on, people, let's not just read a headline and regurgitate the information that you're seeing from that.
Free with DOGE. He's
That way, she's very. So, he said Elon was a were wiped out. Those people were, things, and I'm usually pretty good at this stuff. He did Starlink. He did things that were so advanced and nobody knew what the hell they were. I can tell you in North Carolina, they had no communication. They were wiped out. Those people were, they had rivers in between. Land that never saw water, all of a sudden it was a river and a vicious, like rapids. People were dying all over. They had no communication. They said, "Do you know Elon Musk?" They didn't really know I knew him. I said, "Yeah." He said, "Could you get Starlink?" It's like the first time I ever heard of it. I said, "What's Starlink?" A communication system that's unbelievable.
I have it.
Yeah. And he said, I called him and I said, "Listen, they really need it." And he got like thousands of units of this communication, and it saved a lot of lives. He got it immediately, and you can't get it. I mean, you have to wait a long time to get it. But he got it to him immediately, and I said, "That's pretty amazing," and I didn't even know he had it. We watched the rocket ships, and we watched Tesla. I think, something that had an effect on me was when I saw the rocket ship come back and get grabbed, like you grab a beautiful little baby, you grab your baby. It just
hug the rockets.
I've never seen.
Right, everyone needs a hug, including rockets.
No, and he said, you can't really have a rocket program if you're going to dump $1 billion into the ocean every time you fly. You have to save it.
Right.
And he saved it. First time.
It blows my mind how liberals want to save the earth and we're worried about global warming and we need to bring everything back and go vegan, but yet when you're really trying to prevent waste and you're especially like talk about the environment, watching a $1 billion rocket come back from space, land in the ocean and just disappear into its depths, and you're mad at the guy that is trying to change technology so that doesn't happen anymore. Just let that sink in a little bit. Come on, people, do better.
That I've never seen that done. Now, nobody else can do it. If you look at the U.S., Russia, or China, they can't do it, and they won't be able to do it for a long time. He has the technology. So you learn, I wanted somebody really smart to work with me in terms of the country, a very important aspect, because, he doesn't talk about it. He's actually a very good businessman. And when he talks about the executive orders, and this is probably true for all presidents, you write an executive order and you think it's done. You send it out. It doesn't get done. It doesn't get implemented. They don't implement it. Maybe they're from the last administration, and they are in some cases. You try and get them out as fast as you can. But as soon as he said that, I said, that's interesting. You write a beautiful executive and you sign it and you assume it's going to be done, but it's not. What he does is he takes it, and with his 100 geniuses, he's got some very brilliant young people working for him that dress much worse than him, actually.
Yeah,
they dress in just T-shirts. You wouldn't know they have 180 IQ.
Wait a minute. So he's your tech support.
No, he is.
I actually
but he's
am
much
tech
more
support.
than that.
I literally am tech support, though. But
he gets it done. He's a leader.
Yeah.
He really is. He gets it done. You get a lot of tech people, and you have people that are good with tech, but he gets it done. I said in real estate, you had guys that would draw beautiful renderings of a building, and they'd draw the rendering. It would be great. And you say, great, when are you starting? But they were never able to get it built. They couldn't get the financing. They couldn't get the approvals. It would never get done. And then you have other guys that are able to get it done. They could just get it done. That was in real estate. Same thing in this. He gets it done. So when he said that, he said, when you sign these executive orders, a lot of them don't get done, and maybe the most important ones. And he would take that executive order that I'd sign, and he would have those people go to whatever agency it was. When are you doing it? Get it done. Get it done. And some guy.
This goes right back to your personal finances. Where do you want to be? And how are you going to get there? And are you putting a date by it? Is it a goal or is it just a dream? Because if you truly want it to be a goal, put a date next to it and put a plan in action and actually follow up on it and make yourself accountable, and you're going to reach those goals that you've set.
I that maybe didn't want to do it. All of a sudden, he's signing. He just doesn't want to be bothered.
Do a lot of those executive orders have to be codified into law? You need the Republican Congress
and
to follow
will be.
up?
A lot of them will be.
They will.
But look, in the meantime, we have 4 years. The beauty is we have 4 years. That's why I like doing it right at the beginning, because an executive order is great. The one problem, it's both good and bad, because when they did all these executive orders, I've canceled most of them. They were terrible. We're going to go radical left communist. Okay, it was crazy there.
You can cancel an executive order, but you can't just cancel law. So what he means is he's created these executive orders that are enforceable, and then he's going to ask Congress to make these things laws so that they can get passed, and then you can't reverse them. If in the 4-year period of his term that doesn't happen, the next president can just write with a stroke of a pen and cancel everything that he's doing.
Executive orders were so bad. if they ever got them codified, you'd never be able to break them. So the damage that Biden has done to this country, and it's not even Biden, it's the people that circled him in the Oval Office, okay? But the damage they did to this country, in terms of, let's say, open borders, you know, there's so many things, but open borders where millions of people poured into our country, and hundreds of thousands of those people are criminals. They're murderers, they're drug dealers, they're gang members, they're people from prisons from all over the world. And we have a great guy, Tom Homan, and he is doing so incredibly. You saw the numbers, they're down like 96%.
95%.
He is a phenomenal guy. And Kristi Noem is doing an unbelievable job. And he wanted her. He said, she's so tough. And I said, I don't think of her as that way. You know, she's very nice. He said, no, she's so tough. And she is. I see with the horses, he's riding the horse. Let's go. She's great. But the team we have is really unbelievable. But those executive orders, I sign them, and now they get passed on to him and his group. And
I cannot listen to Trump for extended periods of time. I support a lot of what he's doing, but just the way that he mumbles and bounces all over the place is really hard for me to focus. So if you can do that, more power to you.
other people, and they're all getting done. We're getting them done.
Let me go back a little bit to your background, because it's beyond impressive. You were the chief engineer, for example. You were an early believer in Tesla. You became the CEO, and then the chief engineer, which was phenomenal. SpaceX, same thing, which is unbelievable. I mean, you were the first company, private company, to send astronauts successfully into space. First private company to send astronauts into orbit.
Yeah.
That's pretty deep.
He's going to go into orbit soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, he's going to go to Mars. He's
Starlink.
At some point. Huh? Yeah.
Is in
I mean, they always ask me, like, do you want to die on Mars? And I say, well, yes, but not on impact.
Starlink is in a
Talk about sense of humor. Like, yes, I'd like to die on Mars, but not on impact. That is hilarious.
100 countries. This is going to be hard. I feel like I'm interviewing two brothers here.
You go ahead.
Star Shield, which could be used for national defense.
Yeah, it is already being used for national defense.
Then you have what is it called? Optimus, a part of Tesla.
The robot, yeah.
A robotic arm. Then you have an AI arm. And then you have something that really fascinated me, and it's called Neuralink.
Yes.
You might help the blind to see,
yes,
and people with spinal cord injuries, that they can recover, where in the past, how close is that becoming a success?
Neuralink, we've implanted Neuralink in 3 patients so far who are quadriplegics, and it allows them to directly control their phone and computer just using their mind, just by thinking. It's like, so we call this product telepathy. So you control your computer and phone just by thinking, and it's possible to actually control the computer and phone faster than someone who has working hands. Then the next step would be to add a second Neuralink implant past the point where the neurons are damaged, so that somebody can walk again, and so they can have full body functionality restored. And
you like Bobby, right?
I like Bobby, actually. Yeah, I think I supported Bobby Kennedy. I think he's unfairly maligned as someone who is anti-science, but I think he isn't. He just wants to question the science, which is the essence of the science. The scientific method fundamentally is about always questioning the science.
Well, they didn't tell us the truth about COVID.
Correct.
That's for sure.
Yes.
And we learned a lot with it.
I love that last statement. The scientific method is fundamentally all about questioning the science. Questioning things is not the problem. It's all the bashing and all the other things that come with it. Question. Ever since social media became a thing, and this may just make this video not be seen by anybody, but ever since social media was a thing, the need for sources before you publish a story was immediately gone, because it was the first person to actually say it was the one that broke the news. And then if you're wrong, you just delete it. There's no accountability. But if you go to science, the actual science of things, questioning things and going through the stages of proving or disproving is how we get facts. I love that last statement by President Musk.
Twitter files. And that just then raises a question. You're the richest man in the world. You may not like that part. You're pretty competitive.
It's neither here nor there.
I've known you a long time. But
That's why.
But he's on your team. Well, that's true. He can't top that.
He's good. You know, I wanted to find somebody smarter than him. I searched all over. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't.
You really tried hard.
I couldn't find anyone smarter, right? So we had it for the country.
But this is the thing.
We settled on this.
Well,
guy.
thanks for having me.
So
I'm just trying to be useful.
this is
here.
the interesting. This is where.
Thanks for having me. I'm just trying to be useful here. Like nonstop barrage of negativity makes like even one or two bad things, it makes keyboard Karen go crazy. But you've got a guy who's doesn't like cameras, is doing interviews, doesn't like to talk about himself, is sitting there humbly taking it, and he's like, "Well, thanks for the opportunity." Like the guy really just wants to go back to getting things done instead of sitting there having to do interviews. How can we attack people? Mission right now is to help you. It reminds me of back when I was at my grandparents' dairy farm and there was a cow caught in barbed wire, and you have to be super careful as you're cutting the barbed wire off wrapped around the legs and neck of a cow so it can be free to survive. But it's scared, but it's fighting you the entire time because it doesn't know you're there to help. He's literally there to help. He's literally there to help all this wasteful spending so that not that it's just going to go away and it's magically fixed, but now we can use it for things that we actually need. And that's what's really important for us to understand.
We are as a society, and I hate to do this to you, but I'm going to do it anyway. You're doing all of these things. DOGE, nobody at DOGE gets paid a penny, correct?
Well, actually, some people are federal employees.
Some are,
they do-
okay.
Yeah,
They're helping.
But I think it's fair to say that the software engineers at DOGE could be earning millions of dollars a year, and instead of earning a small fraction of that as federal employees.
Okay, so just
And they're very committed people.
so
Yes.
you're committed to helping the blind see, people with spinal cord injuries recover.
Yes.
You're committed to getting to Mars. You're committed to rescue. You're going to help rescue next month 2 astronauts that I think were abandoned. They dispute that in an interview.
When are you
At the
getting
president's request, or instruction, we are accelerating the return of the astronauts, which was postponed kind of to a ridiculous degree.
They got left in space.
They've been there. They were supposed to be there 8 days. They're there almost 300.
Biden.
They were put,
Yeah.
yes, they were left up there for political reasons, which is not good.
Okay, it's not good. Now, if I had the weight of the pressure of doing that successfully on my shoulders, I think I'd be, but when we spoke before we did this interview, you are very confident. You think this will be a successful mission.
Well, we don't want to be complacent, but we have brought astronauts back from the space station many times before, and always with success. So as long as we're not complacent,
When are you going to launch?
I think it's about 4 weeks to bring them back.
4 weeks.
Yeah.
And
And
You
we're
have
being
the go-ahead.
extremely cautious. Yeah.
You now have the go-ahead.
Yes. Well, thanks to you.
They didn't have the go-ahead with Biden.
What's that?
He was going to leave him in space. I think he was going to leave him in space.
I'm glad you clarified that. I think he was going to leave him in space because we don't know what the plan was, but in reality, we don't know who was actually making that decision, because I really struggle with the fact that when the Democrats pulled Biden from the presidential race, it was, no one can argue it wasn't because he was going to win or lose. It was because he didn't have the mental capacity to continue on. And if you don't have the mental capacity to run for president, how can you maintain the presidency? And so to me, there's a lot of issues I had with Kamala. Does she not have an obligation to the American people to follow the Constitution? And she should have assumed the presidency in my eyes for the remaining of that term. I'm not saying I would have enjoyed that, but that's really what should have happened, is once he was mentally incapable of sitting in that role. But that just glares to me that there is somebody else pushing buttons and pulling strings that we have no idea who that is.
Considered
we were
it
growing
like-
up, lost in space.
Yeah, he didn't want the publicity. Can you believe it?
Unbelievable. And so
Yeah.
I want to echo something that the president said and then ask an overarching question. So people get hit with Hurricane Helene. They have no communication with the outside world. You come to the rescue. You donated that, I
Yes,
believe?
yes.
Okay. You donated to the people
He saved a lot of lives
in
North Carolina. He saved a lot of lives.
and California after the wildfires?
California, but I mean, in North Carolina, where they were really in trouble, they had no communication. People were
Nothing.
dying. They were dying of starvation. He saved a lot of lives in North Carolina.
Okay, now you're going to rescue astronauts. And now, and again, you do all of this. I would think liberals would love the fact that you have the biggest electric vehicle company in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I used to be adored by the left, you know.
Not anymore.
Less so these
He
days.
killed that, huh?
I mean, less so.
I really didn't know.
Well, I mean, this whole sort of like, you know, they call it like Trump derangement syndrome. And I didn't, you know, you don't realize how real this is until like you can't reason with people. So like I was at a friend's birthday party in LA, just a birthday dinner, and it was like a nice, quiet dinner, and everyone was behaving normally. And I happened to mention, this is before the election, like a month or two before, I happened to mention the president's name. And it was like they got shot with a dart in the jugular that contained like methamphetamine and rabies, okay? And they're like, wow. And I'm like, what is wrong? Like, guys, like, you just can't have like a normal conversation?
Talk about a scene from The Walking Dead: methamphetamine and rabies, and then come on. I can see how you don't always align with some of these people, but how can you not like what you're seeing here?
Yeah. And it's like it's like they become completely irrational.
He has no idea, but if you're friends with him,
Yeah.
you pay a price. You know, it's like I walk into a restaurant in New York and it's like half the room gets daggers and they want to.
No, the eye daggers level is insane.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like I had like some invitation because so I got invited to like basically a big sort of dem event like that was, but it received the invitation like the beginning of last year, and I still attended even after I'd endorsed President Trump. And I didn't realize how profoundly that would affect, you know, how I was received. I mean, I walk into the room and I'm getting just the dirty looks from everyone. Like, if looks could kill, I would have been dead several times over.
But that was not before Trump, before Trump, that never happened, right?
No.
Doge is hilarious to me because of what it's called, because Elon has said from the very beginning of the crypto coin Doge that he wanted to see it reach $1. And everyone, like when it really just took off, it was because he started talking about it. And now the Department of Government Efficiency literally is an acronym that talks about it. And a lot of liberals hold the Doge coin, which is cracks me up even more because they're making hand over fist money just because of what they're complaining about, which, I mean, that might be working in their favor too, because the more they talk about it, the more popular it is, the more it's in front of people, the more people like, where did that come from? And then that price, because of supply and demand, may continue to go up. But ultimately, I want you to pay attention to the way that things and the ripple effect things are going on from Washington, because that does trickle down. And as we uncover more and more things of missed and horrible government spending, how is that affecting you? Comment below how you think it's going to affect your future and how it's affecting you now. We'll see you guys in the next one.